and respect for seniority in the police. Christian Tete Yohonu, over 40 years under his belt, working with the Ghana Police Service. He's the new face now and the new boss at that place. Newsfile is brought to you by Bank of Africa, as strong as a group and close as a partner, MTN everywhere you go. Ashesi University, educating ethical and entrepreneurial leaders for Africa. Robert & Sons Optical Services, your comprehensive eye care service provider for 33 plus years. My Way Insurance, dial *165# on the MTN to join My Way Insurance today. DBS Industries, roofing, Papa Fie, Flamingo Paint, simply superior. Syntex Tank, it's strong, it's tough, and Activa International Insurance. Our clients, our passion. Yes, so let's talk a mixture of law, policy, purely constitutional matters, because the presidency issued a statement under the hand of Felix Kwachi Ofosu, and he said, pursuant to certain provisions of the Constitution, the president had decided to pick the Christian Tete Yohonu to take over office as an IGP. And talking about the Constitution quickly, the Constitution Review Committee, the Secretariat of the Constitution Review Committee, wants you to know that they are doing the national validation zonal engagements. And these are taking place in these 8 different locations. There's a Zone 1, which is Accra, April 7 to 8. Tamale, Zone 2, Tamale and Bolga together, April 10 to 11. Zone 3 is Wa, April 14 to 15. Zone 4 is Sunyani, April 22 to 23. Zone 5, Kumasi, April 25 to 26. Zone 6 is Takrady and Cape Coast together, April 29 to 30. And Zone 7, Koforidia, May 5 to 6. Then Zone 8 is Ho, May 8 to 9. You can make your submissions. If you have memoranda to submit to them to change some parts of the Constitution, take it to their offices physically at President Annex, adjacent Ministry of Communications, Abdul Diop Road, Ridge, Accra, or you could do it electronically by submissions at constitutionreviewgh.org. Submissions at constitutionreviewgh.org. They also have an interactive website for online submissions and public engagement, which is www.constitutionreview.org. Thank you very much. Now, as I announce my next set of guests, they are ready. And so let's see how we go about looking at the IGP's matter. Dr. Stephen Amwa is still here, former Deputy Minister for Finance and MP for Nshaiso. Alhassan S. Suini is here, Deputy Minister for Roads and Highways and MP for Tamale North. We're joined by Professor Kwesi Ening, Security Consultant, Professor Bafo Ajimandria, former UN Governance Advisor, and Genevive Partington, who is Country Director, Amnesty International. Let me begin from Zoom. Genevieve, Amnesty International, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you also for having me. Good morning.
Great. You have had occasion as Amnesty to issue statements complaining about IGP Dampare. Are you joining the celebration over his removal?
Well, first, good morning to all listeners. I wouldn't consider it as a personal thing. You would know that with human rights organizations and the police, we've always had a very nuanced relationship. The dynamics have always been different, regardless of whoever is IGP. And we are bound to not agree on certain issues. I wouldn't say it was very difficult to meet the police leadership while Dr. Dampare was in the lead as IGP. It was very difficult. We had challenges. I know you were aware of a documentary that we came out with on protests in Ghana and the impact and the history of protests. We reached out, for example, to the police leadership several times to request that they take part in the documentary, and we just never heard back from them. It was always, we'll get back to you, we'll get back to you. We even delayed, launching the documentary so that we can get their feedback, but feedback was never given. And to be honest, whenever we had hosted programs for Amnesty, the police were always present, actually. Just that, like I said, dealing with leadership was a very different dynamic. And you can tell that, with security forces, it's always been like that with human rights organizations. We will definitely agree on some things and disagree on others. So that was, it's expected.
How much of
so
what,
I think that's...
How much of what you are hearing now is what you knew about Dr. Akufo Dampare? Last week, I did my take and I mentioned Dr. Dampare in there and asked why he was being, removed, and if anything that he was doing that somebody didn't like or the appointing authority doesn't like, couldn't they give him a tour of sort and say, we want you to do A, B, C, D, and if you are doing 1, 2, 3 wrong, we want you to stop. And some police officers really came at me, sent me messages. Some really attacked me that I was advocating for him to be kept, and they didn't want him. I disagreed with them. I said, I don't share your views that removing people is the way, removing him is the way to solve any problem. Some of the issues that were listed, I've heard some of them in the public domain as well, and I've mentioned, some of them appear outright defamatory unless they are true. How many of the things you are hearing are stuff that you knew about him to be his sins for which he must fall?
Well, for me, I think every government that comes in always kind of replaces the security forces later on as they proceed. So I guess it was expected, regardless of his performance. I had a feeling he would be replaced anyway. Most of the things I heard, I cannot say they are true or untrue. The media, will catch on to things. I've been caught several times in the media space with very untrue stories, for example. So sometimes sifting the information is very important. I wouldn't in any way want to attack his personality, because at the end of the day, being a head of security forces is a very, very big
So you hold on there. I'll return to you again to ask you why you expected that he would be removed anyway. Why should that be read? If in fact he was performing as a section of the public will agree that when he came in, it didn't matter who you are. He was arresting the MPs where they would not like it. But once they were doing wrong, he was arresting them. He will not allow you to get away because you are MP. The Constitution says we are all equal before the law and must be treated equally.